You're listening to Filmmakers Drinking Bourbon. Hey, what's up, Internet? It's been a long time. It's been a couple of weeks, but we're here. It's Brandon.
And it's Kyle.
And we are drinking bourbon.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
That's tasty.
Way to kick off Thanksgiving,
That
right?
is tasty. Oh, yeah. That is tasty, and I'll tell you what, it has been crazy. We haven't had a show in weeks. Craziness. Almost today, there was not going to be another show. I was going to come on by myself. I think you're here because you felt sorry for me.
You look so sad when you said,
yeah.
I think I had to do a show by myself today.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we were just eating lunch, and I was depressed that I was going to have to do a show by myself. And Kyle Ebersol, designer at Leap Frame, said, "It's okay, buddy. I'll join you."
Well, to be honest, I'm not here for you. I'm here for the bourbon.
Nice. That's good. So just a couple quick updates before we get into the show. You guys are probably happy that we even have a show right now. So it's been crazy, but just a couple updates. I posted something on Twitter. Things have been really busy for the FDB guys. Alex is on a feature film right now as a camera operator. So he is working crazy hours, and he's on for 2 months or whatever it is. So he has been absolutely unavailable. And I, over at Leap Frame, we've just been really busy. There's been a lot of projects that have come in towards the end of the year, and it's just chaos. So, as you know, work comes first, and we've been getting into those sorts of things. But we have some solutions. We have some ideas moving forward, how to deal with things as we get busy, to allow the community to thrive. Because, again, we started this because we really wanted to connect with the filmmaking community. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. But I am excited that Kyle Ebersol is on the show. This is your second show, buddy.
I know. It's been a while, man.
How you been?
Doing pretty good.
So it's Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. We're post-political season.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm not going to get into politics on the show, but I guess in general, how you feeling going into this holiday season? I think the whole world is sort of what's going to happen next?
It's flipping, man.
And so, again, not to get political, but what's your mindset going into this Thanksgiving versus past Thanksgivings?
Well, I mean, a little nervous going into the family settings. I think as most of America is, looking out for different views and different standpoints. But I tend to just drink a little bit more and just sit back.
Nice.
And just watch the fun happen.
So I think one of the things that could actually save us all this year is film.
There you go.
So does your family have any traditions at Thanksgiving or anything that you guys always watch every year at around the holidays? Or I know our family has a couple go-tos, but what about you?
I'll tell you what, we don't have a tradition.
Okay.
But I do imagine there's one thing we'll probably be watching. I might catch a little flack for this.
All right.
The new Gilmore Girls are coming out.
That's
this
great.
week.
That's great.
And my mom loves Gilmore Girls. When I was in grade school, she would be watching that every day I came home. And now the new seasons are coming out.
That's great.
We got to watch them.
I think it was a past episode. It was either Bart or Adam that said they were getting real into The Good Wife. It was either Good Wife or Gilmore Girls. Was it Good Wife? It was Adam. So Adam.
I don't imagine other people would be watching the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, Adam over at Sound Images is real into The Good Wife. But the Gilmore Girls, people are into that show. They like it. What is it that people like about it? I've never seen it.
It's the back and forth, really.
Okay.
It's the writing's solid. It's about absolutely nothing.
Is it a mom and a daughter? Is it
mom and daughter and kind of their adventures? Single mom, taking over the world,
going on dates, daughter, all that stuff. Okay,
daughter, mother drama and relationship stuff, all that fun.
Sure,
it's kind of it has the pace of a West Wing, but without any of the content. So, if you don't want to follow any of the legal crap. but you like that back and forth, that quick things.
Sure.
Plus, it's kind of they shoot in this amazing town. There's a bunch of quirky little characters that are all part of this small town, and you can see their lives grow. I'm excited to see what they do in these.
Man,
but they're doing
who
the
would've
weirdest
thought?
thing is instead of doing a whole new season, they're doing 4 movies. Basically, they're like hour-and-a-half episodes. Which I keep seeing this pop up.
Is this
more
on
and more.
Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix.
Okay. You know, I do find that interesting. Let's keep on this topic. I want to push it towards this idea of content can die in one place and be resurrected somewhere else these days. Back in the day, if a show got canceled, it was kind of that was it. But nowadays, these online distributors are saying, well, okay, if you want to cancel that show, that's great. It seems to have a pretty big cult following. We're going to pick it up for pennies on the dollar. Boom. You've resurrected a cult following, and now Gilmore Girls is on Netflix and has like this whole thing, right?
It does. I mean,
I think that's interesting that never before has that ever been able really to happen.
I think it's kind of a positive and a negative. It depends on the situation. I love it when they have the same direction, same cast, same directors, all the same push. It's nice, but there are cases where they pull in new directors or new writers.
Takes a life of its own.
And it kind of does its own thing. I mean, I don't know if you follow Black Mirror at all, but they kind of did that.
I've thought about jumping into that.
You can only watch like one at a time.
Okay.
It just ruins your life. But,
all right.
I still like their new season that Netflix released, but it definitely took a different spin. It was a different little
Wasn't
thing.
that a British show?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, I think BBC originally.
Interesting. All right, cool. Well, we're not as maybe not as poppy at the Ferris house. We've got a couple.
What are your traditions?
Well, I got the kids. This might be a new tradition, but ever since we went to Universal, the kids discovered Simpsons Land.
Oh,
but when we were at Universal, they didn't really understand it or know what it was because we haven't really watched The Simpsons. And so I turned on an episode of The Simpsons that was on Hulu, and it opened up, and it was the Simpson family picking out a Christmas tree, and out pops the clown who's like a bad guy.
Krusty?
No, not Krusty. The other guy, the gesture guy with the.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Him and like 2 other people, the leprechaun and somebody else who had a vendetta against Homer, and then Maggie pulled out a machete and cut their heads off, and they're bleeding. And I looked at Nash, and Nash, my son, my 7-year-old's looking at me with giant eyes, like, should I be watching this? And then I was like, maybe we should watch the original episodes that were a little more tame. So we bought but we bought season 1. So I was like, we can't watch like episode 600. We got to like start from 0. So we watched episode 1, the Christmas episode, where the failed dog track dog becomes their pet. And so the kids are loving it. So we're watching all the original Simpsons.
That's awesome.
Which got a little weird when you get to episode 3 and Homer wants to kill himself, and then turns out somebody's speeding. He saves his family, and then his whole like plot in life is to put safety signs around the town. But then ultimately he becomes the safety coordinator for the nuclear power plant. So it's been a lot of fun to like watch it with Nash, the 7-year-old, and kind of like have to explain some things. So that's been interesting. But we always at sort of Thanksgiving, like right at the onset of the Christmas spirit, we typically, you've got your Charlie Brown Thanksgiving situations going on, but we usually watch almost always Jack Skellington and The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah.
So it's that beautiful threshold of, it's kind of Christmas, it's kind of Halloween, it's in the middle, and so it's a great movie to kick off the holidays. I think it's one of the best. What do you think?
Oh,
it's a classic.
Definitely a classic.
I think that if they turn that into a musical, it would be a sellout, and it'd be the highest grossing musical of all time. You agree with me in there, Bart? You agree with that? Yeah, I would say so. So anyway, so that's a tradition, and what else? There's another. We always dial up the Home Alones.
Yeah, that's
I mean, those are. It's a
there
little
any actually Thanksgiving centric like things. I don't know if there's like any
not
good movies
really.
you call out.
They're all kind of like
Usually Christmas.
Yeah, but at Thanksgiving you kind of watch. It's okay to watch Christmas movies at
definitely.
Thanksgiving. You're building up the anticipation. So anyway, what else have you been watching? You got any TV shows aside from Gilmore Girls that you've been into?
No,
You're a Westworld guy, right?
No, actually, we talked about it.
We did
for a while.
We theorized on it.
Even though we don't really watch a lot of it.
Okay.
I mean, you watched a decent amount.
I watched one episode.
No, so we shouldn't talk about.
Well, I watched half of episode because my wife was like, "This is dumb." She's like, "This is dumb," and I was like, "Oh, well, this is no fun to watch it." And then I turned on a documentary. That's usually what happens is if I'm not enjoying a movie with somebody, if it's just me, I'm going to watch a doc.
Yeah,
so
I've only watched like behind the scenes things and some breakdowns of Anthony Hopkins acting in it, which is pretty interesting. So I don't know much.
Yeah. Do you find yourself watching the additive content sometimes and never watching the actual content because you're interested in how they
depends on the movie or the
you want to be a part of the conversation,
yeah.
but maybe you don't have time to invest in the real thing?
Well, especially when it's something more visually interesting or technically interesting or like weird theory stuff. Like Westworld gets a lot of that like artificial like reality theory, and that's really what we were talking about. Is like, is it a real place or is it what's the comment they're making there? And that's kind of where I find myself like trying to see what comment they're making.
But you mentioned Black Mirror. Is there any other shows like you're all in right now? Like, oh dude, I can't wait to finish this.
All in. Most of the shows I've been watching them wrapped up, but for a movie I watched recently. Have you seen Kubo and the Two Strings? No. I'm bringing a lot of like.
I like it.
Not too many manly things to the table here, but
the title sounds great.
It's a Leica movie. It's one of the stop motion ones, but those are just like crazy impressive. That one has like a 97% Rotten Tomatoes, and it.
All right, what's it about?
It's about this little kid that has like this guitar, this banjo, Japanese like banjo guitar, and he can do magic, and his magic is all dealing with like origami. He can fold paper into different.
Wait, you're not
things.
talking about the big animated movie that was out?
It is animated, but it's stop motion.
Wait, is it the? It was a big.
There's a beetle.
It was a big film that came out recently, right?
Yeah.
No, I have not seen it. My son saw it. He loved it, and he said, "Dad, I think you'll really like it."
No, you would love it. Yeah.
Yes.
Really good movie. It's just unbelievable to see what they can do with stop motion now.
Okay.
And I mean, this one's breaking all the realities. Because usually when you think stop motion, you think like a tabletop setup with like little miniatures. But they're literally making like 18-foot like
awesome
things in this one to film, which almost breaks all the rules of stop motion. Like, why would you do that? Yeah.
That sounds great. So that's on my list as well. We just went and saw, so my daughter had her first date.
Oh, yeah.
She's 13 years old. And she was asked to the movies to go see the new Harry Potter spinoff.
So wait, did you guys go with her?
We did not.
Okay.
Well, she doesn't drive, nor does this kid. So we took her to the movies, but then we went and saw a different movie and just kind of like played it cool, let her have her space, that sort of thing. So, but I did interrogate the guy. A little bit. It wasn't like Trump interrogation. It wasn't like good old boy dad interrogation.
Did you pull out your prop guns?
No, but it was more or less like cultural interrogation. So he sits down and I'm like, hey, what's going on? You know, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, greatest movie of all time, go. And to my surprise, this kid says Good Will Hunting.
Wow, all right.
To which I say, okay, that's one for you. +1. I go, okay. I say, how do you feel about superhero movies? He was like, love them. And I was like, you just lost that point. I was like, you're back to zero, son. And then I was like, worst movie you've seen to date? And he was like, oh, Superman versus Batman. I was like, you are back in the game, my friend. And he's like looking at me like I'm crazy. And then I switched to music and I'm like, what about music? He throws out Jeff Buckley. I'm like, all right, you're in the game again. And I said, how do you feel about Jay-Z? He goes, oh, I hate rap. And I was like, oh man, you may have crossed the line and not been able to come back. So anyway, kind of had some fun with them. They went their way, whatever. We come full circle. We decided to go see, I'm going to come back to that story of cultural. I'm going to bring it back. I'm not tangent. They go to see that. We go to see Arrival.
Okay.
The new movie with the guy from Hurt Locker and the girl from the Princess movie. The redhead.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Not Amy Adams.
Amy Adams.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty good, except for the ending. and I'm not going to give it away, but basically it's this amazing movie about this lady who's a linguist. She's trying to communicate with aliens who touch down. The world is freaking out. What do we do, these aliens? And then the movie comes full circle at the end, and it would have been a great movie, but then Jeremy, what's his name, who was in Hurt Locker, whispers something.
Reiner.
Yeah, Jeremy. He whispers something into her ear that, in my opinion, is ridiculous, and it was just the lamest line.
Wait, he said that? I thought the alien said it.
No, he said that, and it was just a cheesy. It was a cheesy line, and I'm just gonna say Should I say it? Should I tell people?
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? So he ends this movie. Pretty much the last thing I remember about the entire movie is him saying to her, "Want to make a baby?"
You see, that's why I wanted you to say this. Is because
Wanna make
when
a
you
baby.
explain it to me, I thought you were saying that was what the aliens were trying to communicate to Amy Adams.
No.
And I literally told everybody I knew, don't go see this movie.
Sorry. No, it's him. Like there's a little love story tucked into it, but he's like, "Want to make a baby?" And it's just like, it's all I can remember, and it ruined the whole movie. And so I'm just kind of like, it was just okay. Like,
if I ever want out of a relationship, I'm going to try that.
Want to make a baby? Anyways, let me know feedback on us on Twitter and Instagram. If you saw it, what do you think? It'd be interesting to hear. But so anyway, that was fun. We saw that. We come back. We wait for them. The kids come out of the Harry Potter, whatever it is, the magical beast.
Is that out already?
The mystical beast or the magical beast. Something.
From Where to Find Them.
Something.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, the movie was good or whatever. And then at that point, it was still bothering my soul that this kid was denying rap music. All of hip hop culture, which was what I was raised on. Like, I was raised on Yo MTV Raps. Like, it's so important to me. Like, I'm teaching my kids, like, guys, this is quality hip hop here, and I'm trying to guide their lives in the right direction. And along comes this kid trying to that's not going to happen. So I said, look, here's the deal. I looked him in the eye. I said, "Are you open-minded?" He goes, "I like to think so." And I said, "I need you to do something for me." I said, "I need you to sit down and listen from beginning to end to A Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory." It's like their second album.
Yeah.
I was like, "Just do that for me." I was like, "I think your perspective will change." He was like, "All right, man, I'll do it."
You're going to get a call from this kid's mom. What did you ask him to listen to?
So anyway, so that's kind of what we've been watching recently. What about we've been working on, man? What have you been doing these past months?
We just wrapped up a huge animation project.
Yeah, you've been designing the shit out of stuff.
I kind of took a little bit of a break there, but then as we're rolling in this holiday season, things are picking back up.
Sure.
But, yeah, there's can we talk? I guess we can talk about it.
I think you just said healthcare.
Yeah, it was for a healthcare company. And
healthcare client.
As healthcare goes in America, it's not good
or easy.
Easy, yeah. It's the government gave them a 2-month. They probably had all year, but they just decided to do this in the last 2 months. I'm sure
could have been.
Yeah, but they needed 6 animations done in 2 months.
6 explainer animations.
Yeah. And it started off, they're like, oh, they'll just be like 15-second animations, and then we finally get down to writing the scripts, and they're all like 2-minute animations.
Sure. So, tell that story. How did you and Ryan, our senior motion designer, how do you do 6 explainer animations in 2 months?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's, if you know animation, like one animation about a minute long is going to take you 2 months. That's how it works.
If you're doing it of any quality.
Of a decent quality. And we kind of looked at this project. We're always, a group to say yes to things we don't know how to do and then learn how to do them. But we knew we had the process down, and that was kind of the key to the whole thing. Is once we learned the process and figure out how to iron that all out, once it came to this project, we just kind of expanded upon it. We ended up hiring 6 freelancers and 6 designers, or 6 freelance animations and animators and 6 freelance designers to knock this sucker out. And within 2-month time, we had script, moved on to design. It made actually a decent design. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, I think it looks great. Let me ask you this. So did you guys, from what I saw on the outside, you guys seemed to made a switch early on from artist to more like executive, like designer / animator, like you guys were managing. You were the quarterback the coach of the operation working with a team versus normally you two work together and do the actual work, right?
Yeah.
So talk about that from a design standpoint, from an animation standpoint. What's the challenges that you get when you have to manage a large team to deliver a consistent look and feel versus just doing it with two people?
Well, I think the biggest struggle on this one was the speed in which we had to do it. I mean, we had a week to get together all the designs for all of these animations. And usually if I have a bigger team, there's time that, you can receive designs, give feedback, send them to other people and have them work on it. But we just didn't have the luxury of doing that. It just had to be everybody had their assignments and they had to get those done or we were screwed. Which kind of ended up happening a little bit. I started off with a lot of illustrators, they were just very solidly in the illustration side, not too much in the actual design side. Which they're amazing illustrators, but when it came time to combine all these different illustrators, they had unique styles. It was kind of difficult. So I took some of the illustrations and I got a new group of actual graphic designers that kind of have a little bit more range and took the illustrations and melted them all together, made it look nice across the group.
Cool. So as far as that process, was it a bigger challenge working with Ryan's side because he was overseeing all of the animators? Mm-hmm. What was that workflow to take all of these designs that were stagnant and get them prepped for those guys to actually animate?
Well, that was the one thing we forgot to do. That was the one thing. So we had their schedule ironed out and perfect and ready to go. But we forgot to put a day or so in between to get the actual design files prepared for animation. We had animation starting the next day. So that just turned into like 2 sleepless nights for me of going through,
cleaning everything up,
300 storyboards and cleaning it all up and getting it ready with layers all with names and everything. But I don't know. I think it's more technically difficult to deal with animators and just more creatively difficult to deal with designers.
Gotcha.
Like the animators, it was because we have such a wide range of people, and if you ever get in After Effects, everybody has their own style. It's strange to see different project files and how you connect. Like there's a million ways to do one thing, It's not just one way to do it. Maybe there's one right way to do it, but everybody has their own approach to it. So it's just kind of to keep consistent moves and feels across everybody as well. Staying on the timeline was pretty crazy.
That's crazy. Well, it looks awesome. You guys did a killer job. I can't wait for us to share that with the world. But what's something that's a takeaway that you can give to the listeners? So you got guys out there listening right now. Some are one-man bands, some are small shops, maybe some big shops, but they're getting ready to tackle a big explainer animation, maybe multiple projects that they can't do themselves. They're using freelancers. What are some takeaways? What are some things that at the end of the day you look back on this project and say, okay, here were some big learnings?
Mm-hmm. One of the basic, and this is something you push all the time, is it's about the story. I mean, we're talking about the most boring healthcare things, how to log into your account, change your family info, boring stuff. But the storyline the animation that was the most successful had this little kid character that just kept getting into trouble in the background while his mom was doing all the things on the computer and signing up for healthcare. This little kid was just our storyline through the whole thing. And just having that side story in it made this whole animation something that the entire company loved.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Moving away from their technical thing and just giving it a little bit of human character and feeling to it brought a whole new level to it. So
yeah, that's great. So focus on story. What about the actual working with freelancers and managing everything? What's the thing that looking back on it you say, man, I would have done this different. It would have been so much easier.
I hate to say it, but I would have checked in every day. And I think that's just because it was such a quick turnaround. And it's not because I want to be, micromanaging everybody's stuff the whole way through, but I was just overly confident that we were moving forward, and we got 2-3 days out of the schedule that just went black for nothing because I wasn't checking in every day and seeing where the progress was and giving a little bit of feedback. Yeah. And it's just little check-ins just to see where they're at and say, what if you try this? Or, help them out a little bit.
That's great. I think that's really insightful. I think those are 2 great takeaways. Keep your focus on the story, but as your projects, no matter how big or small, don't underestimate the status update, the check-in. That can really save your butt on any project, whether it's film or animation, all the way through the process. So that's cool, man. That's good.
Yeah.
pour you another drink there, son.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So me and you've got a project going on.
Yeah, I just came through this week. Man.
Yeah, well, this is we've been working together a lot more this year, towards the end of the year. Like
hopefully more and more, too.
You've done a lot of animation with Ryan's side, but now we're starting to work a lot. We just wrapped a kind of a beauty hair piece for a brand that was kind of an internal piece. So we kind of have I want to take a second to talk about production value.
Yeah.
This would be a great place to do that.
Yeah,
okay, so in our world, I don't know about you listeners out there, what world you're living in, but we're living in a world in Cincinnati here in the Midwest and with Leap Frame where there's kind of two levels. There's this level of like what we can achieve in-house with like our small kit of C100 Mark IIs and, LED lights and scrappy sliders and grip gear and all of those tools. And then there's like full-on commercial world where you have all of your day players, your specialized team, producer, director, AC, grip, gaff, best boy, swingman, all that sort of stuff.
Grip
so
truck,
we live in this sort of world, these two worlds. So, we did, as we shared on the show, we did the national broadcast spots for the University of Cincinnati. So that's like full-on area Alexa, full crew, grip truck, craft service, the whole nine, all in commercial production. And then we have projects that are still really good projects with, budgets from anywhere between $25,000 and, $40,000, $50,000 that sometimes are in this world of like in the middle. They're like, it's not quite this sort of like in-house project. You're bringing in a DP, you're bringing in some other players, but it's way more scaled back from the full-on commercial. So there's like that world, and then there's like the in-house sort of world of like our branded content, brand documentary style type stuff where we're shooting available light and sort of catching just the essence and the rawness. So like, and that would be in line with what I did on my trip to Mexico that me and Alex had talked about before. So one of the things that we find really hard is trying to communicate to clients what is the difference in production value. So a lot of clients don't really understand what they're getting when it comes between a $100,000 shoot and a $50,000 shoot. They just don't understand. They oftentimes want to, lean towards a lower budget. They think, oh, well, if you're saying you can do it for this, then let's do it for that. But maybe they're not making the connection to the quality. And so it's just this game we play. So anyway, I tasked you to help create an infograph. And I've talked about this on the air that we're going to make this available to the public, but something visually that would connect the dots. And so that's what you've been doing, and it looks amazing.
It turned out pretty nice.
It looks amazing.
We're getting real close. We're about to wrap that thing up.
So talk real quick, like visually how you've formatted to try to communicate this idea so that people understand the difference between like, hey, look at all this energy it takes to create this one product, and here's how we can do it this way, but it's less energy, but it's also less quality.
Well, right away, I mean, the purpose is just to get the idea across. And it's impossible to, I think what we've been trying to avoid is saying one is worse than the other.
Which is not.
It's not.
It's
a yes and no sort of thing.
It's like, an aesthetic.
Obviously, yes, one has better quality, but neither are bad.
Right.
We're bringing premium, great things to both, but one definitely has a better quality versus the other.
Right.
And we've gotten so lost in this world where people are like, oh, I got this, niece or nephew with an iPhone that does great videos. It's like,
right.
Yeah, I'm sure they can achieve a level. And that's why we've kind of got muddled between all this world. So to clarify, you had our illustrator, Danny, knock out some awesome illustrations that I put in.
Yes.
And so right away we have a breakdown of the actual equipment, people, and, items that you're going to see on either the shoots.
Yes.
And we made up terms for it, like so standard and premium.
We did. So let's talk about that for a second.
This is going to be a new thing, guys.
This is a thing. Help us sell it in. We are recommending, we are just going to move forward in our world over here.
We're calling
and
it now.
Start calling things standard production and premium production, okay? Because the world of commercial and web, the world of internal, external, doesn't exist anymore. It's blurred. It's blurred lines. It doesn't exist. You can have a broadcast commercial that looks horrible, and you can have a web commercial that looks amazing. You can have people who've put millions of dollars into something that only lives on the internet, like, for instance, the trailer for the Jay-Z and Beyonce tour, or the trailer that Burberry did for their lookbook, only exists on the internet. But they spent probably $3 million to produce it. It never hits broadcast. So the old days of, a lot of money goes into making something broadcast ready and not much money goes into making something for, quote, YouTube, those days are over. So you can have high-end, expensive, premium content on either web or broadcast. So let's just go ahead and acknowledge that. Also, we can go ahead and acknowledge that probably there are more eyes on the internet than there are on broadcast.
Yep.
People who only watch broadcast are starting to die, and most all of us that are 40 and under watch everything on our phones or our laptops or stream it, and we don't even own cable. So digital and online is, really the new broadcast. When you start talking about internal versus external, when you look at companies like Google and Apple, some of their internal videos are probably twice as good as any broadcast commercial for some companies.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's internal or external now is still subjective. Yeah. It depends on how much money you have and who you are. So we decided to start calling it standard and premium. And we want to invite the rest of the filmmaking community to join in that, because everyone knows standard is, hey, this is the baseline. This is a standard procedure. And it's not bad, it's not poor, it's not less than, it's just, hey, this is the standard. And then premium indicates that we're going above and beyond the standard of HD and or 4K or whatever the standard is. We're going above and beyond it to achieve something that's premium. And so that's how we decided to approach it.
Yeah. So on the top of this whole infographic, you're going to see a nice breakdown, illustrations of every item that you would typically bring to either of these shoots.
Crew size.
Yeah, crew size.
Cameras,
equipment, lenses.
Lighting.
Yeah.
Craft service. Are you eating a granola bar or do you have a full spread? Time management. Is this thing going to come together in 2 days or is it 2 weeks of planning? A lot of comparative things that are kind of breaking this down. And it's going to happen visually. It's going to have descriptions amongst it. But then you did the craziest thing that I've ever seen before. You got like Albert Einstein on me, beautiful mind, and you started writing numbers all over the office. And you start asking me all of these pricing questions. And you're like, Brandon, how much would it be for this? How much would it be for a half-day shoot? How much would it be for a full-day shoot? And I'm looking at you like you're literally out of your mind.
You kept going,
Brandon, how much would it be? How much would it be if we did a one-day shoot, but we wanted this quality? How much for a half-day shoot at this quality? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, we would never do that. And we would do that, but then, I didn't have answers. And you were basically wanting me to price out and run every possible scenario of any production we've ever done. And I thought literally you were out of your mind.
Yeah. Well, this whole session came about because I think twice in a row we had meetings where we sat down with people.
Clients.
Like, clients. We want to do this. We have these, 18 scenes in mind where this father and son are having a field day and all these
3 days, 3 days of shooting.
And they're like, and we have, $40,000. I'm like, no.
Right. Or they're like, what's that going to cost?
Yeah. No idea.
And you came up with the crazy idea. You said, what if I could take all of the existing data from every project you've ever approached and priced out and built it into a grid with a formula that would allow you to easily find out a ballpark estimate of what it should cost?
And we're hoping this is we're not sure yet. We're gonna put it out there as a little tester and let you guys give your 2 cents and see what additions or changes we need. But we're hoping this can be a tool that you can literally give to your clients or give to anybody at a design firm or any production firms, and they can get a rough idea of the budget that they're going to need to create whatever video there. And I know there's millions of variables in film. I mean, we couldn't.
Right.
If we tried to put them all in there, it'd be impossible. But it's just kind of a basic idea. And what it ended up breaking down to, the biggest things were runtime of the film. And I thought it was going to be number of location, but it's really number of days on shoot.
Yep.
And we kind of broke down how many locations you could do per standard and premium per half day, full day.
Right. Like like for instance, in a 1 day shoot, you might be able to comfortably get 3 locations.
Yeah. So we broke that down, making your maximum there. And all you have to do is go through this little flow chart and say, I have a shoot that's going to take 1 full day or 3 locations, and the final run time's between 60 and 120 seconds. And it'll bring you to a number. And then I have a whole nother section that's just kind of additional things. Like,
right. So essentially you start with a base number, like say 5, and then based on the quality, the technicality, the difficulty, a lot of other factors, it's either a +1 or a +2 or a 0. And you end up with a number. So let's say your number's 10. If you're on the standard production track, your 10 might equate to 15 to 20,000 in range. And so that's how you look at your pricing. If you're on the premium track, that same track might put you into the $50,000 to $75,000 range. Either way, we're still testing it. It's beta, but it's a beautiful thing.
It would be nice.
It was awesome.
Yeah, the goal is that people outside of film can go into meetings about film production and have a basic idea of what they're talking about.
Yeah, because we're really designing this for the agency world, for account coordinators and people in agencies who don't know, that they could literally walk through a flow chart that's very easy, very pretty, very interesting to look at, and end up with a ballpark that as a production company you would say, all right, we can work with that.
And the other thing it could do too, which is fantastic, is making people be more intelligent with their budgets.
Absolutely.
So they only have $50,000 to do thing. Instead of doing a 20 location shoot, what if we do full studio production on just 1 location?
Sure.
It's about figuring out, averaging all these little pieces to make it fit right.
Or if people go into budget planning, they could follow the flow chart and realize, oh, I need to have more budgeted than 20,000.
Exactly.
I need to budget 100,000 to gain a premium quality. So anyway, crazy stuff. That's been a lot of fun, actually. I think a lot of the work we've done. You've redone all our contracts. You've redone all of our statement of work documents. You've redone basically everything. And it's becoming, that's one takeaway I would give to you guys is take the time to get your documents right, everything from your subcontractor agreements to your personal release forms, location release forms, statement of work, all of that stuff. Get it looking right, get it buttoned up, because here's why. It makes you look professional. B, it saves you so much time. So for instance, Kyle and I are working on a project with a candy company. They want to do a holiday commercial, web commercial for a candy company. And when it was time to write the SOW, Kyle just dialed up the document and swapped out some verbiage. And the end result is a really good looking SOW that's consistent to the brand. It has all the things in there. It keeps you from missing something, kind of the CYA clauses are in there so you don't get screwed. And what it does is it allows you to spend more time on what really matters, which is the creative ideation, the pre-production, the planning, and ultimately the stuff that is going to affect the outcome versus some of the minutia.
Yeah, and that's really what it's doing. It's taking all the questions out of the whole process. Yeah, you know your process. Yeah, you know what you're doing. But if you have it all laid out perfectly in a contract or a statement of work that your client can also see, they're not bugging you as much to say, what's next? What's happening next? And you're not having to tell them as much what's happening next or what you can expect next. It's just all there and ready to go. So only thing we're doing is either, entering a few words on this document and doing all the creative work, the things we want to do rather than the things we don't want to do.
Absolutely. The other thing that I think you guys might, if you don't know about it, you should know about, when it came to designing storyboards, we work a lot with Danny Dufford, who's a killer storyboard artist.
Amazing. Google
him, check him out. He does great work. But he introduced us to, is it called Sketchbook?
It's Sketchbook Pro.
Sketchbook Pro, which is this software that's pretty efficient. And so since Danny uses it, we also got it. And Kyle's been able to, well, tell him how, like today, like we needed a change from Danny and we got there really fast, but it was because you were able to kind of like rough it in.
It's just a simple change where we need to move somebody from a couch to standing up and holding this item. And instead of calling Danny and saying, oh, the third board, we need to move that guy, and he's going to be standing off to the left, all I did was went in the program, erased the guy real quick, and did a crappy little stick figure drawing real quick with the item where it needed to be, exactly where I wanted it in the frame. Hit save and sent it over to Danny. 5 minutes later, he had a beautiful, sketch storyboard done, and we had the meeting an hour ago, and we're already sending the client exactly what we were talking about in the meeting.
And so you guys were working from the same file, right?
Yeah.
So the beautiful thing was, and I think the takeaway here is, be smart with your software. If you have vendors, whether it's your colorist, whether it's your storyboard artist, or whatever, if you guys can be on the same platform and it's just a matter of then updating the file name or the file version, I mean, you can move so quick. And so...
Yeah, we're seeing this too on the animation side. Like, we keep going back between Whipster.io and then, what's the other one?
Frame.io?
Frame.io. So Frame.io just released, if you guys aren't familiar with Frame.io or Whipster.io.
I think they are.
They probably are. All right.
Yeah.
You can comment on your videos in live time. But Frame.io just introduced a whole integration into After Effects itself.
Right. And so Whipster did too.
Did they really?
Mm-hmm.
Well...
They're neck and neck. Those guys are like battling it out.
Doing the same. It's awesome. But that's amazing. Because now when let's say we have these 6 freelance animators working, instead of us, making these lists with numbers of where to look to, we can literally dial it right into the program they're working in, and they know exactly what changes we want, exactly perfect, no fuss, no problems.
Yeah.
There's nothing more annoying than reading through a 40-paged email that's been CC'd and marked up a million times and trying to figure out what corrections you're making to something.
Keep it simple.
So keeping it simple and straightforward.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's some good stuff in there, guys. So you're going to have to dig into this podcast, pull some of that out, start applying it to your lives. But ultimately, this project, which we were just talking about the storyboards, this Candy Company holiday piece, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's going to be good.
So you're the art director.
This is awesome. Yeah.
/AD/director/ it's basically your baby at this point. I think you're, and so the initial idea was that there was going to be people at a holiday party. They're opening these gifts, and they're sort of like traditional Hollywood holiday chaos. Everybody's like, Pinterest ready, over the top outfits. And then the end result is essentially 2 people who are more down to earth, who realize that it doesn't have to be this complicated, and they share a simple moment through this simple candy.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll leave it at that. So we decided that it would be fun to make that come to life. I'm convinced, and my vision is that it's going to be a single shot. So I've got it set up where we're in a living room. Everything is happening. We're going to put the camera on a doorway dolly, and it's going to be a single push to our landing spot, and we pass these wonderful characters along the way, ripping open presents and everything, shooting at a high frame rate. So based on budgetary reasons, what was available, we landed on shooting with the Sony FS7, with the Odyssey, which is like I think it's a hard drive type thing. To be honest, I'm not completely sure.
Capturing.
But a capture device. And so with that, we can achieve 240 frames per second. So, but when you shoot something at a high frame rate, the time of the final result is going to be different. So one of the first thing we had to do is we had to figure out the calculation. So if we shoot 1 second of video at 240 frames per second, it's going to play back at X amount. So in this case, I think it was 8 seconds. Is that right? Basically, it was like 240.
It's 10 seconds per 1 second.
240 divided by your playback frame rate.
If you're doing 24 frames per second, it's going to be 10 seconds per 1 second of shooting.
I think it's 240 divided by 24 equals...
10.
Yeah.
So... we're solid on the math here.
Solid. So anyway...
Well, the funny thing there is...
We had to figure that out.
We started out thinking we're going to need a Phantom to do this. Then we actually do the math, and we're like, we do a Phantom, we're going to have 1 second to achieve everything we want to do.
Yeah.
Instead, we
we didn't have the budget to go with the Phantom and all the stuff that comes with that. So anyway, we're going to shoot Sony FS7 EF mount on our in-house glass that fits our budget with a light package for grip and light, and so that's where we landed. So the art direction. What are you thinking? Like you're kind of on that right now. I think we can talk loosely about that. But how gaudy is this going to get, or what are you really trying to achieve?
I'm getting pretty excited. It's going to be. I definitely have to go thrift shopping and find a lot of quirky little things. But we're looking at a lot of. The idea is like people that really get into these little crafts and Christmas things. Pinterest. That's really the focus.
Pinterest people.
There's a whole wave of Pinterest fails, and we're going to play off that idea and see how many of these Pinterest, like terrible Pinterest ideas, like the one I think it's a good idea to throw in, or I've seen like 3 years in a row now, like girls doing this reindeer makeup at these parties. And I mean, it's cute, but it's like, all right, why are you dressed up with makeup?
They're getting real into it.
Yeah, real into it. So weird things like that, like snowman dresses, and definitely the ugly sweaters we throwing in there.
Right.
But yeah, we're gonna have some fun with it.
I feel like maybe you're gonna find you a little reindeer.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. So it should be a lot of fun, and again, it's one of those things where we scoped this project in two ways. One was shoot for the stars. We had quite a few zeros on the back end of the quote, and it was going to enable us to do whatever we wanted. Fisher Dolly, full truck, HMIs, Red Weapon, whatever we wanted, we had budgeted for. Unfortunately, that's not the route we went, so we're adapting to that, and so we're still going to create.
Or the client went.
Yeah, we're going to create a great piece of content. And we're just going to get there a different way. So we're really excited to pull that off, and we got a great team at the table. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. We can't wait to share that with you guys. So that's kind of what we've been up to. What are you excited about, man? Is there anything that you're like,
it's coming up,
kind of pumped up about, or?
Well, there's some movies coming out that I'm excited for, and then there's a project coming up that I'm excited for. We're finally getting to the point, on the animation side of our company. We just did this huge healthcare project, and we have, I think, two new clients in the pipeline right now.
Three.
Jesus. Yeah. All right. Well, and we both decided we're trying to get to a point where we can get freelancers doing a lot of these gigs that we don't really need to be doing.
Right, smaller gigs
that we know how to manage, and we know how to get a quality across that they want.
Well, it's just a matter of we're learning how to scale. So we're blessed at this point to get. We're in a position where, we're getting more projects in that we can actually produce between three guys. And so we're looking at those and evaluating, okay, which ones need our expertise, and then the ones that we think we can manage outside, we're using our partners and scaling that way. So.
And we're starting, because of that, we're starting to do something that you're pretty good at, is every now and then picking up a passion project. You're awesome at it. You do a bunch of paid work, and then you're like, I need to do something that I want to do, that is your vision and all you. And we're starting to do that. It's a little bit more difficult on the animation side because it's a lot of planning and a lot of time that's just you can't make up for. And so we're pulling up this. Our animator Ryan's always been passionate about monarchs.
He's like, in general, he's like connected. I've always said he is one with the earth. Like
very,
he's
very much sandal wearing,
vegetarian, sandal wearing. He loves plants and farms and bees and butterflies and all that stuff.
I think a little part of him died when I told him I wasn't a vegetarian anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's passionate on all of those things, and evidently, like the monarchs are dying, right? Or they're dead.
90% of their population has fallen off in the last 5 years.
The world's ending. The monarchs are dead.
And it's all because we're clearing out all these like fields of just overgrown grass. And those
to build strip malls.
Yeah, strip malls and parking lots and whatever.
Fail and then turn into liquor stores and weird stuff.
Or it's just like suburban areas, and they just don't want tall, ugly grass.
Right.
But one of the things that grows there is milkweed, which is actually, like, for a weed, has this beautiful little flower on it.
Yeah.
And that's where all monarchs plant or lay their eggs, or caterpillars turn into butterflies.
Right.
And so those are disappearing, and they can't reproduce and, grow as a population. So we're going to create an animation pushing people to plant more of this, basically.
Leap Frame is bringing back the monarchs.
Oh yeah.
We're bringing them back single-handedly.
If you see them come back in the next 4 years, just think Leap Frame. If they go extinct, just forget we ever said
forget we even said it. Yeah. The wolves came back in North America, and we're bringing the monarchs.
There we go.
So yeah, that's cool. That sounds fun. You guys I saw you guys been messing around with some stuff.
Yeah, doing it all in
ideas.
the style of Charlie Harper, who's kind of a Cincinnati icon.
A lot of very geometric shapes, sort of thing. That's cool.
But for movies,
yeah,
I'm sure you guys have already talked about this.
We have not, but I know what you're getting ready to say.
La La Land.
No, but I'm so delighted that you just said that.
What did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say Rogue One.
Oh, yeah. That's coming out same weekend.
Because most filmmakers are going to be like, oh, Rogue One. And here I am in my lonesome guy who loves rom-coms and little quirky independent films. And I'm just like, I cannot wait to see La La Land. So the fact that you said that gives me hope in the world that
I'm so excited.
That the world is okay.
We actually got to see, we went to the Off Design Festival a couple months ago. And we got to see, what was his name?
He was the art director, right? Or one of the designers.
He's an art director for
draws storyboards for Wes Anderson, Woody Allen.
He created the whole design of the Budapest Hotel.
Yeah.
So all of that was him. But he created some of the preliminary design for La La Land, these watercolors, which are absolutely beautiful. And he thought they were going to be turned into sets, typically what art direction does.
Yeah.
But in these dream sequences in the movie, all they ended up doing was just taking these preliminary watercolors, blowing up life size and putting them as the background, which is amazing. So he has like 4 or 5 of these watercolors he did just as set ideas as actual backgrounds in this whole thing, which would be really cool.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see it. I told my wife we were watching Arrival. I was in the trailer came on. I was like, I really want to see that. I was like, we need to get your parents to watch the kids. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's good. That gives me hope. You know what? Because I feel like the movies, I feel like cinema has been ruined by Marvel and Disney.
There's a lot of formula.
There's just it's just like, seriously, guys, we can't make another superhero movie or another over sensationalized, like, please just make something smart and witty. And still for me the best movie in the past 2 years is Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
Oh, solid movie.
It's a great movie.
Solid movie.
And it's just smart and it's witty and it's good. So anyway, that gives me hope. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. No, I'm so excited.
I will say, though, in all respect, although I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, the Rogue One stuff does look pretty good.
Oh.
It looks pretty interesting.
I was not, at first, not excited about it.
Yeah.
Especially since when they said, I thought J.J. Abrams was making all the new movies. I didn't realize this can be a different director on each one, which isn't a huge deal. I was just kind of looking forward to seeing his take on all of them.
Yeah.
But
who's directing Rogue One?
I'm not sure.
Now, I would see any Star Wars movie directed by Darren Aronofsky because I feel like it would be amazing.
But I don't know, Rogue One, the potential it has is amazing because it's the first one, splitting from the actual story. Well, it's actually still part of the storyline, but it doesn't have the same character.
Essentially, though, if this one kills at the box office, they have a blank check because
they're going to have endless Star
They can
Wars
make up whatever story they want. They can just be like, oh, this is the side story of the before Boba Fett was even thought of.
And
blah, blah,
it's
blah.
already there. Have you seen all the fan fiction written around Star Wars? There's a whole aisle at Barnes & Noble about it.
Yeah.
That's already available. They already have the stories done. So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know if I want to see that, though. There needs to be an end to everything. You
I
can't
agree.
Just keep trailing this stuff along.
Agree. Cool, man. Well, it's been fun catching up. It's been a while.
Not bad.
A couple things I want to tell. I don't even know if you know this. A couple things we're working on here at the show. One, we have a producer now.
Hooray.
Frank, the Man of Steel.
All right.
Frank Steele. So we're working with him on helping to pull the show together, make sure we don't miss episodes, make sure things are happening. We want to, make that happen as, things get busy. And we also are going to expand the community. We're going to start opening things up to other contributors to the podcast. So we started the FDB Slack group on Slack that if you go to fdbpodcast.com, you can request an invite to the Slack group. It's a community of filmmakers on Slack. Through that, we've got over 77 filmmakers on Slack right now. Mm-hmm. So growing really fast. And we tapped into our Slack community, and we have a couple people that are going to be guest contributors to the podcast. So they're going to actually do the podcast. So we've got Wes out in Southern California.
Nice.
He's going to be doing an episode, and he's kind of a one-man band guy, does it all, shoots, cuts, films, animation. He's younger, So he's going to bring a fresh perspective, and he's going to have, some guests out there. So I think it's going to be really refreshing to hear firsthand from other places in the country and from other points of view. People that have other, ways that they work and gear that they work with. So we got him. We have another gentleman, I believe, from Tampa, Florida.
Nice.
So that's going to be cool. And then we're looking to line up more. We'd love to hit somebody, maybe in the mountain states. So again, this isn't going to be, every week's not going to be a new group of people, but when things get busy with me and Alex and we can't keep the show going, we're going to then lean on some of our other contributors, and we'll work in an episode from one of those guys in a different state. And I think that'll be really refreshing for you guys to hear, hey, what are people doing in these other states? And, to hear from a guy like Wes who's younger and he's, trying to make it all happen himself, and he started his own business. That's just another point of view that I think, you listeners will be able to say, oh, that was really refreshing to hear his struggles and to hear his successes. So I hope you guys appreciate that. We're really, I know you love it whenever we bring on crew on the show. Whenever we interview gaffers and producers, you guys always respond really well. So we want to expand that and just bring some different points of view from across the country. So
yeah. I mean, we'll build with that if you guys have a unique perspective. Or
I think it's cool. Yeah. So that's coming, and we just want to get to a place where, if I have a dream, not to give a speech here, but if I have a dream, I dream of a day when this community is just overflowing, and how amazing would it be that at any point in time we could call on our community to produce an episode from anywhere in the country and add a unique point of view. How cool would it be one day, this is a dream of mine, how cool would it be that we would have local meetup groups that, hey, we're going to have an FDB meetup in Portland where everybody drinks bourbon and talks film, talks shop, and the common connection is this podcast and the show, and whoever some of the local contributors are there live and in person. I just think there's a big potential to really expand this community, really support each other, encourage each other, and learn from each other and help each other. A place with a network that's so strong where if I'm filming in LA or Nebraska, I've got people I can call on to come out and grip, gaff, DP. I just think, that could be really cool. So we'll see. I'm planting seeds now.
I'm planting the seeds.
We're going to grow. We're going to when the monarchs come back and start to hatch their eggs, we might see this thing happen. But we're taking baby steps to get there. So, but again, until then, thanks again for listening. Sorry we haven't had a couple episodes the past couple weeks. Hope you've enjoyed this one, and thanks so much, Kyle, for coming on the show.
No problem.
It's always great to hear your point of view, to have a designer sitting in with us. And
if you pour the bourbon, I will come.
Yeah, exactly. And have a great holiday season. Be careful out there. Don't drink too much. Don't eat too much. Steer away from political conversations. I feel like that could get dangerous.
Save some pie for me.
Save some pie. And we will see you guys on the flip side. Not quite sure what's going to happen in December with the holidays and craziness, but we will keep you up to date on Twitter and Instagram. Also, I'm going to be releasing probably tonight or tomorrow the winner of the Westcott Cine Scrim giveaway. We've delayed on that. We've been busy, but I'm going to post that tonight. I'll do the drawing, so be on the lookout for that. I'm going to shut up now. Toast my friend over here.
Cheers,
Happy
man.
Thanksgiving, buddy.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Cheers. This podcast was recorded live at Sound Images Studio. Find out more at soundimages.com.